News with Mitsumi Takahashi.
Good evening. Montreal's water network is in a fragile state and it's in trouble. Today, the city is asking residents in a large part of the island, almost 1.3 million people, to do their part to help. They're being asked to reduce water consumption. The city says the situation is exceptional. Major work now begins. Olivia O'Malley reports.
These are the parts needed for emergency repairs on a 48-inch water pipe underneath Atwater Avenue. The city says the pipe, that dates back to 1984, shows signs of advanced deterioration and could break at any moment.
We don't want to wait for those pipes to pop. That's why we're intervening proactively when we have a certain measure of control. It's
one of 4 lines that supply the McTavish Water Reservoir. It will be shut down starting this weekend and last until at least August. The problem is other lines that feed this same reservoir are already undergoing repairs. To reduce strain on Montreal's water system, the city is asking nearly 1.3 million people to decrease their water consumption.
We use a lot of water in Montreal compared to the Canadian average, but it's the first time that we ask the population to reduce the wasting of water.
The areas in red on this map are affected. In total, it's 16 Montreal boroughs: Mount Royal, Hampstead, Westmount, Côte-Saint-Luc, Montreal East, and Montreal West. The city is encouraging people to turn off the tap while they brush their teeth and water outdoors less.
Every little action count and help make a difference.
Executive Committee President Claude Pinard says the city aims to save 100 million liters of water per day, equivalent to 40 Olympic-sized swimming pools, representing about 7% of total consumption. Au Secours is a nonprofit that advocates for responsible water management. It says businesses and the industrial sector need to help for the goal to be achieved.
I think the key message here is that it might be doable if it's a collective effort, if it doesn't rest solely on the citizens' shoulders.
The city is also carrying out its own measures, including not filling decorative fountains. Depending on how the situation evolves, officials say a watering ban could be imposed. Olivia O'Malley, CTV News.
A 20-year-old man has been charged with murder and 3 counts of assault. It's in connection with an attack last August in Saint Laurent. A 22-year-old man was killed. 2 other people were stabbed. It happened in a park. Mohamed Barbour appeared in court today. He was charged in connection with the attack in the park, along with another attack. Montreal police say they've now solved 80% of the murders that happened in their territory last year. Police in Palm Beach County, Florida, are confirming that Claude Lemieux died yesterday by suicide. Former teammates who saw him just days ago here in Montreal have been left stunned. Matt Gilmore reports.
It's really hard to understand, you know, after seeing him on Monday night and spending a good amount of time with him. He looked great. He sounded great. We had great conversation. We were laughing. We were talking about 86.
Chris Nyland, who won the Stanley Cup with Claude Lemieux in 1986, is still coming to grips with the news. His former teammate died by suicide.
We don't know what people are going through, and it's really hard sometimes to, when someone who's struggling like that is protective and quiet about it.
Lemieux won 4 Stanley Cups and the Conn Smythe Trophy. He had children and grandchildren and had just experienced the adoration of 21,000 people at the Bell Center. For mental health advocates, his death is a reminder that many suffer in silence.
First of all, it can happen to anybody. But I think that what is probably important to recognize that money, fame, success, all that is not a guarantee for less pain.
Ella Amir is hoping to send the message that it's important to check in on friends and loved ones.
The onus is on us, you know, the people on the other side, to be sensitive and to see if there are some signs that suggest that this person requires some help and support, and not be afraid of that.
Nyland, who's been open about his own struggles with mental health, says even the toughest people sometimes need help, but still feel ashamed to ask.
They're worried about the stigma of mental health. They worry about being judged. They're worried about looking weak. Paul Lemieux is a big, strong man, and, it's just really, I was sick to my stomach yesterday.
He hopes shining a light on it will prevent others from suffering alone.
Check on your teammates, check on your family members, check on your friends, check on your coworkers. It couldn't be more apparent when you see something like this happen.
Matt Gilmore, CTV News.
And there are resources available for anyone concerned about suicide. 988 is the suicide crisis helpline. It is accessible anywhere in Canada. Suicide Action Montreal has a crisis line in both English and French. And Ami Quebec offers support to friends and family of people in crisis. July 1st is fast approaching, and like every year, there is concern people won't be able to find apartments they can afford. And again this year, the city is trying to help. Angela McKenzie has more.
Mayor Soraya Martinez-Ferrada says she wants to ensure no one ends up on the street come moving day. So the city is increasing support for Municipal Housing Office by $3.4 million over 3 years. That will go towards relocation services for people who lose their home, temporary accommodations such as hotels, as well as storage solutions and pet care for families who don't find a place to live by moving day. The city says last year more than 2,300 people sought assistance from the housing office between mid-June and mid-July. 488 households ended up in hotels while waiting for permanent housing. Many were seniors and single people, and around 35% were families with children. The mayor is asking anyone who needs help to call 311 or 211 to be pointed to resources.
The face of homelessness has changed. Homeless people, yes, we talk about, drug addictions, mental health, but we also talk about economic homelessness. We have seen people in their cars going to take a shower and go to work, not be able to find a home because they're working, but not enough to pay a rent. So I think the face of homelessness has changed, and the pressure that gives us as an administration, as a city, is that we have to find many measures that will respond to the clientele that has changed.
RECLAC, a coalition of housing groups, says one of the main reasons people can't find housing is because rents have gone up so much in recent years and remain high.
Sometimes even someone who's only been in the same apartment for 5 or 10 years, if they're moving, they might not be able to find something at a comparable price. And so that's also part of the problem and part of how we see people ending up out on the street. Maybe they have a pretty limited income and they just can't afford the current rents that are on the market. So that's definitely something that we see, even if there wasn't a sort of eviction or something. But evictions, remain common too. We've seen that in the homelessness statistics, that about a third of people who end up on the street have been evicted in recent years.
He says in the past, people who had fallen behind on their rent may not meet the criteria for some of the temporary aid options offered by the city. The mayor says combined with other measures set to be announced in the coming weeks, she expects fewer people will fall through the cracks this year. Angela McKenzie, CTV News.
The Tribunal on Missing Children and Unmarked Graves says Canada committed genocide. The tribunal issued a preliminary finding after the end of a week of testimony here in Montreal. It says Canada committed genocide against Indigenous peoples through residential schools and other institutions. The tribunal heard from survivors, legal experts, and advocates. Canada declined to take part in the proceedings.
The fact that Canada did not show up is really a bit of a slap in the face, because it means that they're not interested in reconciliation. They're not interested in hearing the voices that we brought here. The tribunal's final report will be released September 30th, the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Rio Tinto's expanded aluminum smelter in Saguenay was officially inaugurated today. The opening follows a $2 billion expansion project that aims to lower carbon emissions as well as expand production capacity. Ministers from both Ottawa and Quebec were on hand for the event.
We are grateful to the federal government to invest as well in this project, and this project for sure will help Quebec to position itself at the international scale in a very positive way, because it is a breakthrough technology that is being developed here. The
The factory will be able to produce 160,000 metric tons of aluminum every year. Well, drivers are getting some relief heading into this weekend. The majority of gas stations in the Montreal area are posting prices of 179.9 cents today. In recent weeks, it was over $2 a litre. Diesel is down as well, which will help lower the cost of consumer goods. It's all due to the war between the U.S. and Iran.
Gas prices across Quebec, Montreal specifically, are down about 11 cents a litre in the last week alone. Prices now down 6 cents a litre from where they were a month ago. But this weekend, somewhat of a do or die situation. Any lack of an agreement that comes out of the weekend could eventually push oil prices and gas prices right back up. Whereas any definitive agreement becomes signed, it certainly could lead to lower gas prices as we head into the bulk of the summer driving season.
It says that summer gas blends and the increase in travel also caused the price of gas to go up. Well, the Habs are in a very tough spot. They face elimination tonight. They're down 3-1 in their best-of-7 series. Kelly, hope springs eternal. They're going to win tonight.
Is that your prediction, or is that we're just calling that fact?
I'm going with it.
I like it. You know what? We're going to go with it. All right, perfect. Well, that is the mood among Habs fans as well, Mitsumi. Hope springs eternal. The Habs are down, but not out. Now, I met one fan just outside the bar who drove 16 hours to be here tonight. Where did he come from? North Carolina. That's right. The game is in Raleigh, but he is a Habs fan and wanted to be here. Have a listen.
That is not my team. That is the least of my teams. Habs are my team.
What made you a Habs fan?
Well, I kind of fell in love with the Habs back in the mid-90s after being a Hartford Whaler fan. So I was homeless, and I came to the city many times, and just the city was kind of hypnotic, and it made sense to follow the Habs ever since then. So I've been a Habs fan for 30 years.
I'm happy we made it this far into the playoffs. So, you know, it is what it is. We'll see what happens, but I think we can do this.
We're going to win tonight. We're going to pass through. We're going to win all the 3 games, and everything will be all right. If everything goes wrong, we're still here. We have confidence. We're going to go back next year, and life is beautiful.
That's right. Life is beautiful, but on paper, it's not such a pretty picture, though. In NHL history, there's been 73 times a team has trailed 3-1 in the conference final, and only one has come back to win it and go to the Stanley Cup final. But if you're a Habs fan who likes Cinderella comeback stories, well, you have Carolina just where you want them. The fans aren't the only ones who are the believers. Here's Nick Suzuki and Juraj Slavkovsky.
We love to prove people wrong, and yeah, that's the mindset. You know, we haven't played the way we wanted past 3 games, and feel like today it's a good time to bring our game back and play the right way and win the game.
Always wanted to be a player that can step up, and I think we got a lot of guys that are built like that. So looking forward to tonight, and knowing that our backs are against the wall and we got to really raise our game.
Puck drop is at 8 o'clock tonight, and can the Habs do it trailing 3-1? Well, to quote the late, great Randy Tiemann, you never know. Mitsumi.
Thank you very much, Kelly. And that's Kelly Gregg at the Bell Center. And coming up, they bought a deadly chemical online.
I carry forward his legacy in my heart and my soul.
And today, the man responsible made a plea deal. And a Russian drone raising concerns after it enters NATO territory. Kenneth Law pleaded guilty today to 14 charges of aiding and abetting suicide. It was a plea deal. Murder charges were withdrawn in exchange. John Woodward has more.
Yeah, today is heavy, for sure.
Heavy for Kim Prosser, the mother of Ashton Prosser Blake, who was headed to university in Toronto before he died by suicide at 19 years old.
I carry forward his legacy in my heart and my soul.
Prosser, among dozens of families coming to Newmarket Courthouse to hear the guilty plea of Kenneth Law, who arrived in an OPP transport truck as media from around the world watched. Law was a trained engineer and former chef at an upscale Toronto hotel, but he also had a side business selling a meat preservative that in high doses is deadly, a product he marketed under a pseudonym on websites aimed at suicidal people. CTV News has tracked 150 deaths around the world tied to those products, the youngest just 16 years old. Court heard his income from the sales neared $300,000 using sales and payment platforms of Shopify and PayPal, the most recent death in January.
Para prevenir más muertes.
The father of an 18-year-old who died, Yesenia Bedoya Lopez, said he hopes the judge sends a message to stop anyone considering selling the product. Thanks to his guilty pleas, Law avoids a murder conviction and won't do life in prison. It emerged that British authorities won't charge him there either. Some of these suicide websites marketed Law's products as a painless way to die, but the facts read out in court show that that is not true. Some of the people called 911 complaining of pain and vomiting, wishing that they had not taken the substance and didn't want to die, but by the time they had consumed the product, it was too late.
I walk with him in my heart in everything that I do. My passion, my drive, my everything is walking with my son.
Prosser is not pushing for a stiff sentence, just hoping that the trauma Law's actions caused can stop. John Woodward, CTV News.
China's Foreign Affairs Minister is in Ottawa today for high-level meetings. It is the first visit of its kind in a decade, and it sparked protests on Parliament Hill. Abigail Beeman reports.
China's foreign minister welcomed by the Prime Minister, as well as his Canadian counterpart, Anita Anand. Wang Yi spoke of record-high engagement with Anand and a relationship between the two nations that has turned around, now growing and improving, with major economic and trade concerns, as he says, properly addressed.
We are committed to growing this relationship responsibly with a goal of increasing exports to China by 50% by 2030, while safeguarding Canada's economic and national security interests and values.
There would need to be some clarity about what are those guardrails, what kind of investment from China is welcome in what sectors, and where we would actually continue to hold the red line.
The opposition leader asked if he believed Mark Carney would raise issues of human rights abuses.
Of course not. He won't do anything to make Beijing unhappy.
A former Canadian diplomat in Beijing who has met Wang Yi more than once over the decades believes human rights will be discussed and that China is likely to raise Taiwan.
We do have to reflect our values in these discussions. And from my experience, particularly behind closed doors, it's possible, necessary in my view, to speak frankly to Chinese leaders about our own concerns. And I guarantee you they will speak frankly about theirs.
The Prime Minister heads back to China for the second time later this year for the APEC summit, while this visit by the Foreign Minister could set the stage for a visit to Canada by China's President Xi. China watchers say to look towards the end of this year when the president already has plans to visit the United States. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
For days now, Donald Trump has been saying that the U.S. and Iran are close to a deal and that the Strait of Hormuz might open soon. But today, a report on Iranian state television is putting that into question. Christiane Cordero has more.
Today, a new shadow clouds over the Strait of Hormuz reopening anytime soon. Soon after President Trump said he was in the Situation Room reviewing a framework deal, Iranian state media reported some of the administration's characterization of the deal is false. Trump has repeatedly said his primary goal is to make sure Iran cannot obtain a nuclear weapon, emphasizing on Fox News he doesn't feel pressure to sign a deal if he believes it falls short.
You have a very short window for doing anything having to do with war.
But I don't view that window. I view it, I have to do what's right.
Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson said on state TV today that no deal has been finalized. Iranian state media is also citing informed sources in saying the agreement makes no claim about Iran's nuclear program and that Iran isn't required to ease tolls on the Strait of Hormuz.
Right now, it looks like Iran's not willing to give up its sovereignty of the Strait, so we're not even back to where we were before the war started when it comes to negotiations.
Iran's apparent rebuttal also demands the U.S. ease sanctions and enforces a full ceasefire in Lebanon. Despite the ceasefire, Israeli forces are pushing their efforts against Iranian-backed Hezbollah further north into Lebanon, according to Prime Minister Netanyahu. According to the UN's Children's Agency, 11 children have been among those killed or injured on average every day in Lebanon over the past week. Israel has not responded directly to that report and otherwise says its focus is on Hezbollah targets. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
And there's a new and dangerous development in the war in Ukraine. A Russian drone headed for Ukraine crossed the border into Romania and struck an apartment building. 2 people were injured. Romania is a member of NATO, and officials there are calling it a serious violation of international law. Romania has reported several instances of drone fragments landing in its territory, but this is the first time people have been injured. The head of the World Health Organization is in the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo. He says he wants to see the fight against the Ebola outbreak for himself.
I came here to show that the communities in Ituri, North Kivu and South Kivu, that they're not alone and that we are here to support. And we understand their pain, but we also understand that they have the energy and all that it needs to stop this.
Medical teams are struggling. There's a lack of resources in a very volatile region. The current Ebola outbreak is a rare form that has no treatment nor vaccine. The WHO says there have now been 238 suspected deaths and more than 1,000 suspected cases. A powerful explosion has destroyed an apartment complex in Dallas. At least 3 people were killed. Officials are blaming a contractor who broke a natural gas line. Ryan Chandler reports.
Well, the city of Dallas is shocked today following what appears to be a catastrophic error triggering that 5-alarm fire after that gas explosion destroyed an apartment complex here near downtown Dallas. We know 3 people are dead, including 2 women and a child. The latest update from County Judge Clay Jenkins tells us that the initial phase of the recovery operation is over and they have not found any more victims in the wreckage. They're now passing this over to federal investigators. We've seen the NTSB on the ground as well as ATF as they dig in to try and determine what exactly caused this and what went so catastrophically wrong. But this is a community that will need a lot of help as people recover for days, weeks, months ahead. We know that about 23 people lived in that building. Many of them need a place to stay, having no home to return to. The city and the Red Cross are helping people go to hotels as churches open their doors and this neighborhood rallies around their neighbors after just such a shocking incident. We'll watch for more updates from fire crews as they finish this almost 24-hour race to rescue anybody that they may be able to. But for now, in Dallas, I'm Ryan Chandler. Back to you.
A Blue Origin rocket belonging to Jeff Bezos exploded during a test in Florida today. The New Glenn rocket was being tested ahead of a satellite launch planned for next week. No one was hurt. The New Glenn rocket was already grounded once before. It left a satellite in the wrong orbit because of engine failure. And coming up, it happens for many different reasons.
This isn't where I want to be. I didn't ask to be here. But like I said, it could happen to anybody.
She's been caught in a growing problem known as the hidden homeless. And tenants with pets who thought they'd won are now back in court. It's already been reported that the World Cup games in Toronto and Vancouver could cost a combined $1 billion. Well, now there are new reports that say that that number will go up. Cost updates from Vancouver project that there will be more than $100 million more per match. Andrew Johnson reports.
Hosting 7 World Cup games inside Vancouver's BC Place will cost more or less, depending how you look at the math. And the province says it's leading the tournament in transparency.
There's no jurisdiction that's hosting a World Cup right now that is releasing the detailed information that's being released by the province of British Columbia.
A year ago, it estimated FIFA could cost British Columbians up to $624 million. Today, the figure is $729 million, an increase of more than $100 million. But projected revenue and cost recovery estimates are also higher, projected at $478 million last year. Today, $615. The bottom line, the province says overall net hosting costs have dropped by more than $30 million and are now estimated at $114 million.
Thanks to disciplined planning, strong financial oversight, and higher projected revenues.
The biggest revenue generator so far has been a 2.5% tax on all visitors to Vancouver booking short-term accommodation that will remain in effect until 2030. Over the next 5 years, BC says it will score $1 billion more in spin-off tourism. Sports economist Moshe Lander believes the benefit is being overstated and the losses from tourists and locals avoiding the city during FIFA ignored.
I don't want to be around that chaos. I want to be able to enjoy Vancouver in all of its beauty where it's not overcrowded with soccer hooligans. So you know what? I'm going to Kelowna instead.
A final answer to the question of, is it all worth it? Likely won't come for years. It all starts in exactly 2 weeks when the home team will hit the field in Toronto for the first World Cup game ever held in Canada. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
There are plans to build a bicycle path alongside parts of the REM line. The plans call for a bike path to link the REM's West Island stations with the station north of Mount Royal Tunnel. The new path would also connect to existing bike paths and to nature parks.
It would have a beneficial impact of being able to bring people to the different REM stations, but at the same time allow people to have off-road access to a bike path that usually will get away from the usual polarization of taking space away from pedestrians or cars.
The annual Tour la Nuit bicycle ride is tonight. It begins at 8 o'clock at Jarry Park. Thousands of cyclists are expected, rain or not.
What we've realized over time is when people ride in an event like this, they realize that they can ride in the city. So some people ride more to go to work or for transportation. If you do a ride when it rains, realize that it's not as hard as you may think it is. So you do build our confidence and new skills where you can ride in the rain just on a normal day.
There is more information on the Tour la Nuit, le Tour de l'Île, and the road closures, all on our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca.
Weather brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Well, despite the weather, there is lots going on in the city, from cycling to concerts. Those who are country music fans may know Luke Combs is performing at Parc Jean Drapeau tonight, and due to the weather, his show has actually been moved up. So he is set to hit the stage right about now. That is as we prepare to receive anywhere from 20 to 40 millimeters of rain in Montreal and surrounding areas. More on that in a moment, but first looking at our temperature. Right now we're seeing 13 degrees in Mirabel and Montreal, and we are continuing to see this move down from our high today of 18. So our normal low is sitting at 11. For tonight, we're expecting to hit a low of +9 degrees, and again, expecting to see some rain. Environment Canada has also noted potential thunderstorm risk and strong wind gusts that would be up to 80 kilometers an hour tonight. So certainly something that'll be strong enough to feel. So a reminder to bolt down or bring in anything that can easily blow away. But it's good news come tomorrow morning. We're looking at mainly sunny skies with a wake-up temperature of 10 degrees, and we should be holding on to those mainly sunny skies in the afternoon as we make our way to that daytime high of 19. But insofar as the timing of it all with this rain system, looking at our futurecast, things do seem to get a little intense for the Montreal area at about 9 p.m. tonight. So you'll want to watch out for that. In addition to that, Environment Canada has issued a special yellow rainfall warning for regions to the north and east of Montreal. That includes areas like Sherbrooke, Shawinigan. They could receive potentially up to 50 millimeters, but things are looking pretty good. After that, for those of us who are on the island, we're forecasting a high of 21 degrees on Sunday and then a return to sun and clouds next week.
The legal battle over whether tenants can keep their pets is back in court. At issue whether landlords should be allowed to ban the pets from rental housing. Laurence Brisson-Debreuil reports.
After winning a landmark battle at Quebec's Housing Tribunal, M. Desjardins is back in court. The tenant is now fighting to preserve a decision that declared their lease's no pet clause invalid.
This whole ordeal has been really stressful. It's been going on for years. And once I think I got 1 month to celebrate or to be like, oh, it's finally over. And then they asked for an appeal.
Earlier this year, the tribunal ruled the clause was abusive and violated Quebec's Charter of Rights. Thursday, a Quebec court judge heard a request to appeal that decision. Desjardins' lawyer says the outcome would impact renters far beyond this case.
A lot of tenants that contacted us also, they feel that their situation is similar. They can use that decision and plead their own case.
Sophie Gaillard is with the Montreal SPCA, an intervener in the case. She says the housing crisis is making pet-friendly rentals harder than ever to find.
We currently have about 30 animals coming in every day being surrendered, and one of the top reasons is the difficulty of finding animal-friendly housing.
A new Léger study commissioned by the SPCA highlights just how widespread the issue has become. Results show 87% of landlords across Quebec refuse animals or impose restrictions, and in the Greater Montreal area, that number climbs to 89%. Advocates are now calling on the Quebec government to step in and ban no-pet clauses altogether.
As has been done in Ontario, as has been done in France and other places across the world.
For now, Desjardins is waiting to learn whether the case will move forward. But after years of fighting, they say they're not giving up.
I'm hoping that he'll stick to the law and use empathy. I really hope so.
There's no timeline yet for the judge's decision. Laurence Brisson-Debreuil, CTV News.
A woman found herself and her children living in a tent in the woods. Advocates say this is an example of what's called hidden homelessness, and it's a growing problem. Caitlin Wilson has more.
Piece by piece, Amy Ayers is taking down the place her family has briefly called home. For the past few weeks, she's been living in this tent with her 3 kids, their dog and cat, tucked inside a forest in a conservation area owned by the City of Ottawa, but now a way out.
We have a friend who had reached out, and we're staying there for now, and they're going to help us to get to where we need to be.
She says the hardest part has been trying to keep her family together while running out of places that would take all of them, including their pets.
They either didn't have anywhere that would accommodate us all as a whole, or there was no room.
She says it wasn't just one thing that led them here. After the pandemic, Ayers left her job as a personal support worker for mental health reasons and now relies on social assistance. She says her oldest son works a full-time fast food job, but even with their combined income, it's still not enough to afford rent.
Everything became like a snowball, and your Ontario words, you're kind of like labeled, so you're kind of like skipped over or told, oh, I'm sorry, you know, and they move on to the next.
Her story comes as the city shelter system remains under pressure and the number of households waiting for subsidized housing continues to grow, reaching more than 16,000 at the end of last year, the average wait between 5 and 8 years.
You have families with children as the biggest group of people in our shelter system. We can absolutely be doing more than we are. And that's not on the city only. That is a national issue. That is a provincial issue. And we need those levels of government to step up.
And for Ayers, the first step to getting back on her feet is to find a permanent place of her own to call home.
This isn't where I want to be. I didn't ask to be here. But like I said, it could happen to anybody.
Caitlin Wilson, CTV News.
Coming up, a very good reason to celebrate.
I'm 103. I feel about 45.
Margaret Hope, a true inspiration, living up to her name. And what people should know before taking any supplements.
Menswear provided by Ernest. Elevate your style with Ernest. Health, brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Dietary supplements are popular, but using too much of these pills, powders, liquids can be hazardous to our health. Here's Mandy Gator.
You can find them in stores and online. Supplements ranging from vitamins to minerals like calcium seem to be surging in popularity.
I think people are using more supplements nowadays.
Integrative medicine specialist Dr. Yu Fang Lin with the Cleveland Clinic says people use supplements for a variety of reasons, including vitamin C when they're sick, omega-3 and ginger for inflammation, magnesium for sleep, collagen for anti-aging, and protein powder for fitness goals.
With the rise of social media and influencers pushing or advertising supplements, there's also increasing use because of those.
Lynn says a vitamin supplement may be okay for some, including those who have diet deficiencies, anyone with trouble absorbing or digesting food, those with a history of intestinal or stomach surgery, or if a person is low in vitamin D, especially in winter months.
However, excess supplements can be toxic to the body as well and can be a burden.
Supplements aren't regulated by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, and Lynn says taking too many can take a toll on the body, especially the kidney and liver. Some can also interfere with medications. So before using a supplement, she says to consider whether it's safe and necessary. If you do take them, she says to monitor whether you're seeing benefits.
They need to be taken with the same consideration you would have when you're taking a medication.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A new study is helping determine an individual's risk for developing MS. Researchers at Montreal's Neurological Institute believe certain proteins in the blood can be markers. Researchers found 39 proteins that were linked to MS risk and tested them against blood samples from 500,000 volunteers. Dr. Adil Haroud says it confirmed their suspicions that MS can develop years before diagnosis.
What we were able to find is that the blood already carries signs of MS years and sometimes more than a decade before anyone is diagnosed. And that matters because in MS, the damage is largely irreversible. So the real prize is catching people early enough to be able to prevent that damage altogether. And thankfully today, we have a number of treatments that are highly effective at stopping attacks and stopping damage, but we need to be able to administer them early enough.
The researchers are now testing whether these markers can be developed into screening tests. We are now officially in what is called a technical recession. That's when 2 consecutive quarters of back-to-back go into negative growth. The latest numbers from StatsCan show that economic growth is stalled in the first quarter of this year, January through March, and it was the same last October through December. StatsCan is blaming higher gold imports and weakness in the so-called resource extraction industry.
Business News brought to you by Au Vieux de Louvre, where memories and meals come together.
And now here are some of the day's closing financial numbers. In Toronto, the TSX was up 251 points to 34,769. In New York, the Dow closed up 363 points to 51,032. The S&P 500 finished the day 16 points higher to close at 7,580. And the Nasdaq was up 55 points to 26,972. And the Canadian dollar is trading slightly lower today. Right now it is 72 cents, 0.47 cents US. A woman in Ottawa is leading by example and experience. She's learned a few things over her past 103 years. Leah LaRocque reports.
A familiar melody that Margaret Hope has had sung just for her more than 100 times.
I'm 103. I feel about 45.
She's the guest of honor at this tea party at Waterford Retirement Home.
Our love for Margaret is great, though she tends to exaggerate.
Hope came to Canada from England when she was in her 20s.
I came alone and I was a bit scared when I got here.
Losing her first husband, Alfred, when he was in his 50s. Together, they raised 2 children.
She was just a real example all our lives of all the things that we all aspire to be and should aspire to be.
Finding love again with John, who lived till his 90s. Her memories as vivid as ever. Dark ones, like the Second World War.
That was me in Trafalgar Square, feeding the pigeons during the war. My brother took this picture in his pocket. He was a soldier and he had it in his pocket for the whole of the war. He made it.
But bright ones too, like her love of sewing.
My mother was a court dressmaker in England, and so I took up sewing.
She still has her original sewing machine.
Margaret continues to sew and knit. She even holds knitting classes right here. And the quilts that she makes, she donates at the end of the year to places like CHEO.
We're celebrating this because she's a pure treasure here at the Waterford.
I've never known anybody more positive about life. I always grew up saying, I want to be just like you when I grow up.
It is often asked, what is the secret to living such a full life? For Margaret Hope, it's simple.
I think if you're kind and good to others, it's a great help.
Leah LaRocque, CTV News.
A police officer is about to start a 200-kilometer bicycle tour. And Caroline, it's to raise awareness for a rare form of cancer.
Yes, Jonathan Berthiaume is a Montreal police officer who lost his father, a volunteer firefighter, suddenly to cancer just 17 days after he was diagnosed. And because his father, who was only 64, did not have the time to fight the cancer, Jonathan is making a fight for him and others, riding 200 kilometers this weekend to raise money for cancer research. We're going to hear from him tonight. We're also going to look into a body found in Kanesatake tonight and today. And of course, the Habs will be fighting to stay alive in Carolina tonight. They say they're ready to pull it off. We'll see if they can do it, but we do have the Habs playoff towel in position, and I'm hoping to wave it a lot. A lot. That's all I can say.
I hope so. Thank you very much, Caroline.
Thank you.
A couple of hikers in Montana have enough of wildlife to last a while. Here's Danny New.
A grisly encounter in Montana. After one bear runs by 2 hikers and then a second one stops to growl at them.
I was kind of like joking and then the bear growled and I was like, oh nah, this ain't happy times anymore.
Alyssa of New Zealand and Mason of Wisconsin were hiking together in Glacier National Park earlier this week when a few passing hikers let them know they had seen 2 bears about 150 feet off of the trail. Alyssa and Mason decided to wait for a bit.
We decided after a few minutes to keep going and just stay ready. And I guess being optimistic isn't always the best.
You see it? Oh my God. No, don't run.
But soon Mason spotted that first bear, who appeared to be getting playfully chased toward them by a sibling. They believe they were about 2 to 3 years old. So when they ran by and that second one started growling, Mason had a decision to make about the bear spray he says he was really hoping not to use. Did you make eye contact?
Yeah. It definitely looked at us, and then that's when I let out a little spray, and it turned the other way and ran off into the woods by the lake.
At that point, the bears ran off, and Mason and Alyssa decided to turn around, only for that second bear to then suddenly reappear.
Hey, Neck up. Good boy. Good boy.
Thankfully, though, it appears the New Zealand accent has a commanding effect in the American wilderness.
Hey. Out the way.
Because then, a few moments later, why not, Alyssa had to deter a moose as well.
I was like, what? Why is there a moose now? I thought the bears were enough.
Thankfully, they are both totally okay. And when I asked Mason what he hopes people take from the video, he says that they do research before hiking in bear country and that they especially make sure to have bear spray. In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
And Anastasia, it's going to get really windy tonight.
That's right, Mitsumi. We are currently under a special weather statement issued by Environment Canada calling for northeasterly winds anywhere from 50 up to 80 kilometers an hour. So with that, not surprising if we end up seeing some local power outages. People want to keep that in mind. Along with that, we are expecting to see some rain coming in over the course of the evening and continuing into early Saturday. But for tomorrow, looking at a pleasant day. So there's the good news, a high of 19. And mainly sunny skies. Mitsumi.
And that's it for us. Have a good evening. Have a good weekend. Stay well. Good night.